This is the annual report for 2021 of the LeDeR program. In this report, we're going to find out about the people with a learning disability who died in England in 2021. This video has 6 parts. Each part has a different colour. This is what is in each part.
The grey part. Who died and how old were they?
The yellow part. What did people with learning disabilities die of in 2021?
The blue part. How good was the care for people with a learning disability who died?
The green part. Which people with learning disability were more likely to die younger?
The orange part. Could more people with a learning disability have lived longer?
The pink part. How did COVID affect people with a learning disability?
Now we're going to look at the grey part.
The grey part. Who died and how old were they? We heard about 3,304 people with a learning disability who died in 2021. Of each 10 people with a learning disability who died, 6 were men and 4 were women. Of each 10 people with a learning disability who died, 6 died before their 65th birthday. This row shows how many people were younger than 65 when they died. This row shows how many people were older than 65 when they died. Of each 10 people who don't have a learning disability, only 1 died before their 65th birthday. Most people who don't have a learning disability were older than 65 when they died. It means that people who have a learning disability don't live as long as people who don't have a learning disability. People with a learning disability usually died 22 years earlier. Of each 10 people with a learning disability who died, 6 died in hospital, 3 died at their home, and 1 died somewhere else. Most people we heard about who died were white. We need to learn more about people from minority ethnic backgrounds who died. That is, Black people, Asian people, people from mixed backgrounds, other people who are not white.
Now we're going to look at the yellow part.
The yellow part. What did people with learning disabilities die of in 2021? Of each 100 people with a learning disability who died in 2021, 20 died of COVID-19, 11 died of cancer, 9 died of health problems that they had all their lives from when they were babies. 7 died of flu and lung infection, pneumonia. 4 died of cerebral palsy and paralysis. 4 died of heart problems. 4 died of stroke. 3 died of dementia. 2 died of epilepsy. The others died of all sorts of other things.
And now it's time to look at the blue part. The blue part. How good was the care for people with a learning disability who died? Most people with a learning disability, 7 out of 10, had some care which was good. This doesn't mean that all their care was good, but at least some of it was good. But some people, 3 out of 10, did not have any good care. What was good about people's care? Annual health checks help people to get good care. Learning disability liaison nurses help people get good care. There are special nurses who understand what people with a learning disability need. What problems were there about people's care? Sometimes carers found it difficult to notice people were ill. Sometimes staff didn't make reasonable adjustments. What are reasonable adjustments? Changes staff can make to help people cope with their care and treatment. For example, more time, a calm place to wait, easy to understand information. And now we look at the green part.
The green part. Rich people with learning disability were more likely to die younger. People from more ethnic backgrounds were more likely to die younger. Many white people with learning disability lived longer with people that were black, Asian, or mixed backgrounds. People with epilepsy were more likely to die younger.
And now it's the orange part.
The orange part. Could more people with a learning disability have lived longer? Some people died before their time. Perhaps they could have lived longer if they had got better treatment and support. For example, by treating an infection, managing epilepsy well. Or perhaps they needn't have got ill in the first place. For example, by getting a vaccine, checking for illnesses. This is called avoidable death. It means dying of something that nowadays you shouldn't have died of. Half of all the people with a learning disability who died an avoidable death. These are the people with a learning disability who needn't have died. But of all the people without a learning disability who died, less than a quarter died an avoidable death. These are the people without a learning disability who needn't have died. This means that people with a learning disability are more than twice as likely to die before their time.
The last part we are going to look at is the pink part.
The pink part. How did COVID affect people with a learning disability? In March and April 2020, lots more people died than usual. This was because of COVID-19. People with a learning disability were more at risk of COVID-19. Lots of extra people who don't have a learning disability died in March and April 2020. But the number of extra people with a learning disability who died was double. Very few fully vaccinated people with a learning disability died of COVID-19. The COVID vaccine stopped many people dying